Hello and welcome to Biofit with Us episode something or other that nobody discussed before the episode. What episode
I
is this?
think it's 9. I don't know. It
I
could be 8.
that could be episode 72, who knows? But I kind of just pressed Billy Big Balls and went, "Oh, record it," and then absolutely choked.
Whatever episode we're on, that's the one we're on. Fuck it. We don't need to label it. We don't need to number
You know
Don't
who we
believe
are.
in labels.
it.
Um,
Sorry, I realise I'm fucking not even on the camera now. There we go.
I'm not going to lie, Trips. I was quickly taking Rocky a walk after my run, and I was just going through the group chat, and I was more or less just listening to the voice messages. And it's so funny how sporadic it went. It went from Shannon thinking she hates Americans more than she hates the English to what do you learn in history in Scotland to something about being ginger and genetics.
Yeah, aye. We took a few left turns this morning, that's for sure.
This is why we needed you on the podcast last week with us because we were taking so many left turns. We were just like, "Wah."
Genuinely, what you've experienced this morning in the group chat is what everybody else experienced on last week's episode.
Do you know, I actually have it saved on my Spotify to listen to. I just haven't actually listened to it yet. I'm going to listen to it.
It
Probably
was
should
it
have
was
had a
good.
trigger warning for it because I just start talking absolute grimness of being a woman at some
Oh,
point. I was like,
yeah. I should have put some explicit label on it somewhere.
Speaking of which, we'll talk about it. I was on X last night, intentions to get up super early this morning. I was just waiting on Jen taking the wee man to bed, whatever. Do you know what? I started off with just how bad Celtic are at the moment. I was scrolling through it, and then the next thing I see is Charlie Kirk doing a talk and then get shot in the neck. And I genuinely thought it was AI. And then the next thing's like, oh, Charlie Kirk's dead. I'm like, that's an actual real video of that was the most horrific unexpected thing. I have seen some gruesome videos in my time, so it's not the most horrific thing I've seen, but I was going to say it's the most unexpected thing to see just on your rant. That didn't come with trigger warning.
Yeah.
no.
You seen it?
I
And it's wild that that video is going around the place, but like the likes of anything that's happening in Gaza is censored. Like there's no like showing of it, but then you can just watch him being shot, and I'm like, what?
I seen it from 3 different angles. I was on Reddit when I seen it. Um, uh, Pretty gruesome. One of the ones was I don't know what angle you seen it from, Kyle, but one of the ones that I seen it from, it was literally a guy second row from the front
I
Yeah.
seen
that
that
was
one.
recording. Um, for anybody that hasn't seen it, I don't recommend going and looking for it because it is very, very grim. For anybody that doesn't know who Charlie Kirk is, he's like a conservative activist. He's very big Trump supporter, basically. I don't know if Trump has him under his employment, but he goes around America and goes to all these unis and he debates the students on things. Now, don't get me wrong, some of the stuff I completely agree with what he's saying. Some of the stuff I think he's an absolute fucking wahoo. But all he was doing was debating. He wasn't hurting anybody. He wasn't, yes, he was maybe trying to push his beliefs on other people, but I didn't really get that sense from him. It was literally just saying it from his point of view. And he got murdered for his opinions, for his words, which is fucking
Yeah.
insane.
America, man.
I know, I know.
That's
He
it.
he wa
Go on.
I was just going to say he was the one that believed that the Second Amendment was he wanted to keep the Second Amendment and be allowed to carry guns essentially. And it's come back to I was going to say bite him in the bum, but it came back to shoot him in the neck.
I was actually that was
Grim.
exactly that was exactly the point I was going to say was just the fact that you see the video of him saying about the Second Amendment, but I almost feel like us looking from the outside in, going, we live in a world without guns and people don't just randomly shoot each other because we kind of we understand how unreliable and sporadic people are, especially people who are sane minded, let alone Americans who are just mental. But
Sorry, American followers.
Shout
uh,
out to our Yanks.
I'm going to caveat this with Shannon. You put in the group chat earlier that you hate Americans more than you hate the English, and you said
Yeah, I do. I
that.
stand by it.
So I mean, you've literally probably about 15% of our audience offended all of them, but I'll I would go, do you know what? Like all Americans are a bit mental, but do you know what? Like some of them are fairly sound and like can think. They're just all a wee bit out there. But
I
I
haven't
would
met
say
one
that
yet.
I would say the same about English people as well. You do get some sound English people, but you also get some fucking wahoos.
I like how Gary's keeping his opinion to himself on Americans because he's still got ambitions of traveling in the future. So he's not saying a word.
I've already been to
Yes,
America. I don't need to go back.
moving swiftly on. Right, there is no denying Falls 5'10" this time round.
Oh, sorry. I, everything you said there just went into one sentence. I was like, what is he saying there?
I
Yeah,
actually struggled to understand what you said there as well. I was like, what did he just say?
my space bar and my vocabulary is broken this morning.
I thought you
For
said
a minute.
I thought you were saying something about Forza 510, and I'm like, is that Formula One or something that you were saying?
Yeah.
Because I've no idea.
I'll
Um,
slow it down. I'll slow it down, especially for Adam, right? There is no denying Thor's 5'10" this time round.
No.
yes. Um, to be fair, he did absolutely just left it like an empty bar off the floor. Yeah.
It was terrifying how fast he lifted it. Like, where is it going to stop? How much do you think he had in him?
So hard at those percentages to know exactly how much because like you are like talking weights that we'll never comprehend. But by the looks of it, if that was just like how quickly he moved the bar, I'd say he's got at least another 10 kilos in him. Like
I would think that as well.
I'm gonna go 20 for the crack.
Another 20 kilo.
Yeah.
So if anybody's listening and they do want to go and see a video, go and watch Thor's 5'10" deadlift. It is fucking mental. Now I know we debated on the podcast a couple of weeks ago about his 505 and about how much he weighs himself. So it's not as impressive as what it maybe could have been. Mate, it's 510 kilo. That is fucking wild numbers.
I'm not going to lie, I still do struggle with that one. If I'm being completely honest, I'm like, what's more like what I think is super impressive is if you see somebody that's 60 kilos and they're lifting 300 kilos. I'm like, well, fair play to them because that
Mm.
is like 4.5, 5 times body weight, whatever it is, 5 times body weight. For four, I'm like, well, it's kind of double body weight, just over that, like triple body weight maybe. I'm like, by actual standards, like it's not massive, but like in total weight, you're going, yeah, but again, you're talking about a human being that like isn't a human being, he's a fucking dinosaur of a guy, man. He's a monster. So being honest, I don't know if I can comprehend exactly how good, bad, or whatever. Obviously, he's the only person in the world to have ever done it, so fair play to him. I'm not taking that away. It's just more of a case of going, if you put a gun to my head, I'm sorry for mentioning guns again. I'm going. This should come my trigger warning. If you put a gun to my head and said, "What do you think more
Electro
impressive?"
trigger.
Yeah, if you, so many puns, some intended. But what one do I find more impressive? I probably still would say the person who lifts 5 times body weight is more impressive than Thor's 5'10. But it's not to take away that Thor's 5'10 is not impressive. It's not a weight I'll ever be lifting. Certainly not at sub 90 kilos anyway.
Well, I don't know, man. I think you should go on a bulk, 100 kilo bulk.
We've done
Imagine
that
that.
already.
Well, I think Gary was meaning putting on an additional 100 kilos, not just like
Putting on 100 kilo.
yeah, putting on 100 kilos.
Oh God, I could only imagine what that would look like.
Let's AI that shit right now.
I don't think my heart would survive that amount of like mass on me. The thing about Thor is like he's like what 6'6" or something, 6'7". Like so he's got a
Mm.
good bit of height. Man, I'm 5'9" and kid on that I'm 5'10". There's not a fucking chance my body's going to deal with
You're
that.
you're 5'10" with shoes on.
Mate, that's why I never take my shoes off. Jen's like, "Yeah, why don't you take your shoes off in the house?" Like, just emasculates me.
That's why I used to stick my head up back in the day, just to make myself look a bit. Oh, it's height measuring day today, so I'll do my hair, puff it up a wee bit.
Gotta say, 100 quid on tall shoes and 40 quid on shortwave gel just to get yourself looking tall.
Did you
Hey,
ever see those things you can put into your shoes that add height to you?
Oh no, Shannon, I've never seen them, never bought them. Don't have them in my shoes, no. What are you talking
I
Oh,
forgot this
Jesus
is like a
Christ.
male insecurity is height.
Hey, big up the short kings out there.
about? I'll be honest, I have seen them, and every part of me was like, I seen them, they were advertised when I first moved to Ireland. I'm like, I could just go with this and wing it. And I'm like, but then how long do you go with the lie? I'm like, then everybody thinks if it was 3 inches onto me, say I'm 6'1" or whatever it is, everybody's thinking I'm 6'1". What happens the day I forget to put them in? People like, what's happened to you?
You forget to put them in your football boots. What the fuck? Jesus, Kyle's just went for a target forward to a wee tiny fucking winger.
Yeah, I was going to say, who's the midget on the wing?
Anyway, what's the crack this week? What we got in store for the listeners?
Right, so one of the things I'm sure that we're all used to dealing with is time and not having time to go to the gym, not to having time for yourself, not to having time for the health and fitness. And I think considering like we're all busy people ourselves, but I think it's a good topic to talk about because whilst all three of us definitely are at the point where we prioritise health and fitness is probably one of the top three things we do, most fitness people do, we are the exception, not the norm. So I think it would be a fairly decent topic to talk about if you are keen.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm gonna open. I don't actually have a major structure for this, but I'm actually going to open the room with daily use. Remember a time where you didn't think you had time for something and you were wrong? I'll go on, Gary. Hands up. Very polite.
Don't think I've got time to train for this half marathon, but I'm still fucking doing it.
Do you feel like training for it every time you go and do it?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, massive, mate.
I know. I'm just using that as an example right now because it's happening at the minute. But yeah, mate, I mean, we go back to maybe 6, 7 months ago when I was, up to my fucking chin and working 2 full-time jobs, trying to get my own business, and my lights just died. Trying to get my own business off the ground. I genuinely didn't think I had time um to live. Never mind fucking look after my health and fitness. But I did. I mean, I was going to say I proved myself wrong by still getting shit done. But I did go up to the heaviest I've ever been in my life during that period. Um, so was I looking after myself as best as I probably could? Nah, I wouldn't say so, but I was still moving, I was still training, I was still doing something to try and keep me sane. But it's all about, in my opinion, structure. See if you've got structure, see if you get somebody there to help you figure out your structure. See if you try to wing it, it's gonna go tits up. I've been there many times before. You got to say something. The two I was finished talking there.
No, mate, you just gave your camera a wee rub, mate, and I was wondering, you try coming back looking okay again, or what are you doing?
No, the lights died, man. So that's me. I'm back to
Crikey, like I thought you said my nan died, and I was like, What? Like
no,
you've
my
just announced
light.
that in the middle of the podcast.
My light. Sorry. Now
I
I'm
was gonna
getting
say, Gary's nan's just died and he's on the podcast. He's got time.
As Molly May says, we all have the same 24 hours in the day.
fucking Molly me.
Oof, that's a controversial thing you brought up there, Shannon. I don't actually think Molly May was the first person to say it. I think it was actually fucking Kim Kardashian or something a few years ago.
No, it was Beyonce originally.
I don't know. I feel like even if we had it as like Chinese whispers, as soon as you say Beyonce, there's probably somebody listening going, "No, actually, it was Will Smith that said it," and then it'll just go on and on and on. But
I love how
Probably
everybody that
offended someone with Beyonce there.
I was going to say I love how everybody that we just mentioned is an absolute fucking weapon anyway. So
yeah,
Molly May's not a weapon. I
nah,
wouldn't say she's a weapon.
she is. She absolutely is. She's
You still have to remember she's like 24 or something like that. She's young, like.
I want to be weapon.
You know, sometimes when you look at an influencer and like some people like you, Shannon, like I'm really casting you a brush here, but like you go, oh, do you know what? She actually seems really nice. So she's not an absolute weapon. No, she's a weapon. She's an absolute weapon. She knows what she's doing. She's playing into it, and no, absolutely, she is. She's an absolute tool. Yeah, no going back.
Oh wait, Kyle, I like this side of the bed that you've rolled at this morning, that's for sure.
Jen kicks me out of bed in the morning. What was I going to say? Yeah, I think there's a important thing to put up there because like I used to very much, and I still actually to a large extent use that. It's like we do all have the same 24 hours in a day, but the way that those 24 hours, the responsibilities that make up those 24 hours are very different. And actually, what Gary touched on in terms of structure is important, but also looking at your energy levels. And I have a viewpoint that I think a lot of people don't actually get to do what they want to do, not because of time. Time is a mask for the fact that they don't have the energy to be able to do it, the desire to want to do it, and actually the belief that it's going to change anything anyway. So if you look at energy, belief, and desire, like they're the three things rather than time. But again, we'll unpack that as we go through it. But the person, for instance, Gary, your 24 hours 2 years ago was very different to the version of the 24 hours you have right now. Shannon, the same would be said for yourself. The version of the 24 hours that you have right now is different to what you even had a year ago. Mine's is certainly different. I don't even know what I had time to do before, but I always felt overwhelmed. But I always love, I'm part of a thing at the moment, and they're always about trying to manipulate time, and they're like, you set yourself a challenge to see what normally takes you 6 hours, if you can see if you can do it in 4. And whilst I always think that's wishy-washy bullshit, actually when you sit down and you do have systems in place, the energy to do it and the kind of focus for it, if anything I'd done yesterday, I'd done what I'd normally get done in 5 and 6 hours. It took me 3 hours to do. And I'm like, do you know what? Actually, when you sit down, and that's actually because I had more shit that I had to do in the afternoon. I'm like, if I don't get this part done in this time, I'm going to be working until 10 o'clock tonight. And if you manage to fit it in. So a lot of the time, it is actually about sticking to that. I would challenge anybody to start off with, if you said you don't have time, first thing I'd do is take a notepad and pen and start actually jotting down what you're doing with your time. You'll actually be surprised at how much time that you think you have, or how much time you're actually wasting by either procrastinating on your phone, doing monotonous tasks, or just actually allowing your brain to switch off, which is important though, because that's the part where your body's actually telling you you're a wee bit burnt out and you need a bit more energy. Yeah. So if we are, I know I'm going a bit tangent here, but if they see us saying, oh, it's not a time issue, and we're trying to give them what's perceived as more on their plate, they're going to go, fuck you. Like, I'm not doing any more, already doing a lot. So it's not about approaching it for you're not making good use of your time. It's actually just trying to control your energy and having better habits in place would be my viewpoint on it.
Yeah, just on that as well, like you touched on, my 24 hours 2 years ago is a lot different to what my 24 hours is now. And I was actually talking about this the other day to someone in the gym. And obviously now that Freddie's here, I literally, my day is structured, like what you just said there, my day is structured to the minute. Do you know what I mean? Between X and Y time, I have to make sure I get this done. Between Y and Z time, that's time for this. When I compare that back to 2 years ago, or even just a year ago, when I thought I had no time, I'm like, what the fuck was I filling my time with? I must have been so fucking either bored or just filling my time with utter shite 2 years ago that I never understood it. I never realized. And that is when I think hiring someone or speaking to someone or writing things down and understanding where your time is going is very, very important, because if you don't, like, you're going to struggle to see it yourself if you're just trying to look from the outside in, unless you actually write it down or get someone else to have a look for you. You're never ever going to figure it out, because that's the exact position that I was in 2 years ago. Where the fuck was all my time going? Do you know what I mean? I like, thinking back now, I just cannot comprehend how I was so busy 2 years ago. Now I'm fucking busy. 2 years ago I wasn't busy, but I felt busy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So fuck knows. I don't know. People, I think, yeah, what you said about energy as well. A lot of it, in my opinion, does come down to energy and how they're feeling. I mean, how many hours have you wasted just mindlessly scrolling on your phone just because you have no energy, or you feel like you've got no energy to get up off the couch, and then before you know it, that's 3 hours down of scrolling, and you go, fuck, it's bedtime. I've got no, and then somebody says to you the next day, oh, would you get up to last night, or would you get up to yesterday? Oh, nothing, I didn't really have time to do it.
It was flat out.
Yeah.
I used to have time to be hungover, man. Like I genuinely used to be at the point where I'm like, I could waste a Sunday just doing nothing, feeling hungover, and just wasting a day. I'm like, I couldn't think of anything worse than that right now. I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't, I really don't have the time for that right now. But even at that point, I was like, I don't have time for it, and I'm like, still managed to have time to be absolutely wasting a day on a Sunday, just sitting vegetating or going back out to the pub. Like, there is
the
time
the
there. I actually
the.
listen.
Sorry, I was just got to say the good old days.
Good old days indeed, mate.
Super Sunday in the pub, rough from the day before.
You know what's easy now though? Football shite, and that's a different conversation for a different day. But like all football right now is just systemized, boring, and it's I don't know. There's something missing from it. But anyway, that makes it a lot easier not to be. To be fair, anytime I watch football these days, I feel like I need a drink, and that's lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from all evil. But did you ever
Amen.
did you ever watch the what's his boy's Northern Irish names? What is it? Shane Todd? Is that his name? Um,
Ian
he
Todd.
I could be completely butchering it, but he has a podcast. I think it's Spill the Tea or something like a tea with me.
Oh, I know. I
Uh,
think I know who you're talking about.
I'll see if I've got his thing. No, I don't. I thought I had some evidence here of that it exists rather than me just making up things. But thanks, Gary, for saying that you kind of know. But he had a guy on. It was a fitness guy. And he was talking about he coaches the guy who makes the Marvel movies and all that, and he was saying about optimizing energy and like Shane, I'm going to say that's his name. It's probably not even his name. The host, they were talking about how he's not got time to get back to everybody in his comments and stuff like that. And he's gone, "What time do you get up in the morning?" And he's like, "Oh, 7." And he's like, "Well, I've started making time by going to like getting up at 5 now." I know that that's sometimes a game of how big's your dick, where people start going, "If I get up at 5, you get up at 4, whatever." I used to be dead
Yeah.
against. I'm not a morning person, but I'm like, I do get up at 6 these days, sometimes before that, because I'm like, the only way I can get the time to go to the gym or get the time to do part of my work is if I get up at that time, and that's just a trade off that you do. It's not the fact I don't have time, I just need to understand that I need to go to my bed a bit earlier, which involves not putting the PlayStation on at 10 o'clock and playing a game of Call of Duty, or it means that I'm not scrolling on my phone, watching people getting shot on Twitter that I didn't expect to see.
Thing is, so that's you giving up, um, things that bring you satisfaction and enjoyment, and sometimes that's what you need to fucking do. To
I'm going to know what you're saying there, but on one hand, that I disagree strongly with the fact that I'm enjoying sitting scrolling Twitter in the evening times. I would say a lot of people do that just out of the fact that they need to switch off their brain and are
Mhm.
brainlessly doing that. I would say that there's a cost to everything. I think like a lot of people see the cost of going to the gym, not financially, but going, oh, I'm going to have to do that, and that's going to be 45 minutes or whatever it is, or even 20 minutes. And I don't want to do that. It's whatever. The way I look at it is going, the way that the gym makes me feel after I go to the gym, I'm far more productive throughout the day if
Mhm.
I get to the gym. I done first run I've managed to do in 2 months today, pain free. I know, round of applause for Kyle, but thank you. But what that does is genuinely, like, I feel so much more set up for the day. I don't feel groggy. I feel like I've moved. I'm not stressing about steps. It's very much a case of I'm in a place where I'm like ready to go. So for the next 6 or 8 hours, I can sit at this desk and I can be pretty comfortable with the fact that I've moved. I'm good.
Mhm.
I'm in my mind's in a good place as well that I can do that. I think a lot of people view it as a what's it called? A task, whereas I'm like, it's actually a very short term investment to get a really good benefit short term as well. It's just about actually applying that for a short enough period of time that you see the benefits coming through.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that one. How how would you put it across to people then, who genuinely believe that they don't have time to start applying themselves a wee bit better so that they do have time?
Um,
Obviously, you've given them the task of writing it down, getting it in black and white on paper. By the way, can you see a Rachel Hoovering?
no.
No.
Good, 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 good. Um,
Some say they've
starting
never
with
seen
the
you, Hooven. Oh.
oh, hey, that's what Sundays are for. We actually got a new Hoover delivered yesterday, and Rachel's fucking like a kid at Christmas. She's fucking dying to open the box and all that.
I could tell Jen that we have a new Hoover. She wouldn't know because she never fucking uses it or do it.
I want
What
one of them robotic ones.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Pain in the arse. So we've got one in the gym, and I had a I had a client in a few weeks ago, and she was squatting, and the bastard was like bouncing off her heel as she was squatting. Sorry. Yes. So first task is to get everything down in black and white. Get a notepad, write it down, see what you're actually doing with your time. What's the next step?
Google Calendar.
I would actually, this is what changed the game for me. Once you have like I would suggest that most people have, what's it called? Like fixed jobs, fixed hours. They have to work. They're not in control of their time, and trying to manipulate that in any way is, it's just not realistic. I fucking hate podcasts and advice that's like, oh yeah, just go and do this and do that and whatever. I'm like, yeah, a lot of people can't do that because they work 8 to 10 hour jobs sometimes, and that's just not. And especially the people telling you don't have time. But what I would do is put in, as Shannon said, Google Calendar. I would actually put in the time for yourself first so you can actually
Mhm.
see that there is time for you, because a lot of the common complaints is that you don't have time for yourself. So put it down so you can visibly see it. I used to have this complaint, don't have time for myself. I'm like, well, I now schedule in time for myself. If I'm sitting moaning or sitting procrastinating during that time, or spending 2 hours scrolling Netflix to see what I actually want to watch on Netflix, and I'm giving out about the fact that I didn't get to watch anything, that's because I've spent 2 hours looking for something. But that time is my time, so I look at scheduling that in. It used to be, it was always, before I fucked my hips, Thursday nights would be my time as playing football. I played five-a-side football on Thursday night. On Saturday, I'd have 2 hours in the morning where I would play the PlayStation. Like, those two things are scheduled in, because at least I can't go, oh, I don't have time to like just looking at a PlayStation, never playing it, or I don't ever get to play with my mates or whatever. Like 33 years old and still playing with my mates. But I think once you put that stuff in place, it becomes a lot easier to actually have a visual representation of what you actually have available to you, because you'll then see a lot of blank space as well. So I think there's where you look at putting in the next thing and making the barrier, like, you don't. I think sometimes the big thing is what a lot of people view as health, fitness, and what they need to do to get them moving forward is so big, and they're so far away from it. It's like it
Mhm.
creates this big gap of, well, I can't go to the gym 5 times a week. I can't do 10,000 steps when I'm currently at 2,000 steps. I can't eat from Tupperware dishes when realistically I'm every day going to the chip van and my dinners are provided to me from the missus, and my missus isn't going to change her diet either. A lot of it comes down to, well, I don't really see myself being anywhere near that. And I think actually looking at
Mhm.
reducing the barrier full stop, because we have been in a very guilty place of putting things. I'm not saying us, but I think social media's quite bad over the years of being extreme in any view, and there has been very conflicting things on what gets you in shape and what doesn't and whatever. But I think actually just dialing it down to, as I put it on my story this morning, like I do 4,000 steps before work in the morning. That takes me between 30 and 40 minutes. With I take the dog a walk, and it's simply because he needs to go and pee. But I think if you can get a 10 to 20 minute walk before you start work, that's massive. I think if you can, on your lunch break, literally go 10 minutes, and I used to do this when I worked in PayPal. Like, I was in a seated desk, but I used to just stand up sometimes on calls. And I literally just used to walk back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I was the only person in the entire office doing it. But at the same time, still by the end of the day, I was getting like 8,000 steps, even though I was in the same conditions as everybody else. So the answer is yes, I had the same 10-hour shift as everybody else, but at the same time, I had 8,000 steps and they had 2,000 steps. Um,
Mhm.
like, I got told about the first, you put on, what's it, 4 kilos on in the first 6 weeks in PayPal. They actually joked about it when you first started. It was called the PayPal Stone or whatever it was, that you put on like 4 kilos in the first 6 weeks. And this is the guy who's like training us is telling you about that, whatever. But you'll actually seen it happen to everybody, because like you take people who move and you put them in a desk. It's just, that's what happens straight away. So like literally, I wasn't thinking about weight loss at the time, because I never thought I was going to get out of shape. I was just like, my habits are, I'll be fine. But actually, sitting at a desk will absolutely frazzle you if you let it. Like, your movement is going to be super low. So stand up, move out. utilize the toilet. Like if you feel the slightest inclination you need to go in for a pee, literally stand up and go for a pee. Like you get your steps in. Like I have the world's weakest bladder, but I've trained it to be weak because I just keep going to the toilet every time. Every time I need the toilet. But I'm telling you, I get some amount of steps doing it. Like genuinely.
Aye, I think you touched on a very, very important point there, and that's like lowering the expectations, lowering the barrier for entry. Because of what's been promoted in social media, like your 10K steps, like you have to train 4, 5, 6 times a week, like you have to be out running to see any sort of progress. That causes that big divide. That creates that big problem of, oh, I don't have time for that. So then people just don't even bother doing it because they don't believe that they've got time for it. The question that you asked at the start of this was, or the statement that you made is, do I have time to get in shape, or do I not have time to get in shape? Everybody has time to get a little bit healthier and fitter than what they currently are right now. Lowering the barrier, um, or the barrier of it, lowering the expectations, sorry. Um, if you don't have time for 10K steps and you're only doing 2K steps a day because you're sitting at a fucking a desk in a PayPal office somewhere, aim for 3,500. You know, the average human walks what 1,000 steps in about 10 minutes. If
Yep.
you can aim for 3,500 and you're only getting two and a half, you're only getting 2,000, that's only 15 minutes extra per day. You're telling me you do not have 15 minutes in your day to go for a walk. I'm calling bullshit. Straight up calling bullshit. You don't have time to train 5 days a week. Fair enough. I work in a gym. I don't have fucking time to train 5 days a week. You know what I mean? Train once a week. If you're going from zero to once, you're still going to see drastic changes. Do you need to be in the gym for an hour? Absolutely not. 20 to 30 minutes. You can set yourself up with a kettlebell or a pair of dumbbells, and you can do enough in that 20 to 30 minutes once per week that you will start to see positive changes happening in your body and your mind and your soul.
Oh, very passionate there.
So, yeah, I'm calling bullshit on I don't have time. If this is only going for people that haven't started their journey yet, right? I don't have time to get in shape. Bullshit. For people that have started their journey and they seem to have maybe plateaued or they don't really know how to take things to the next level, then if time constraints are an issue, then what we would want to look at is what you're currently doing and how we can change what you're currently doing so we can then start getting you progressing again because you might be stuck in this kind of limbo phase where you're just doing the same shit week in, week out. You're doing the same amount of steps, you're doing the same training program in the gym. Maybe you're only training once or twice a week, but you're doing the exact same thing in the gym week after week after week. Same exercises, same set, same reps, same weight. That is where the issue lies. It's nothing to do with a time issue, it's to do with how you're utilizing the time that you've got available. So having again writing everything down, keeping track of everything, we we stress on this podcast a lot how much you want to be tracking what you're doing, movement wise, training wise, everything. If you can get it all in black and white, you can get apps on your phone now. Like you don't have to pay for that. You can track your workouts in. You know, you can get MyFitnessPal, NutriCheck. They're free. You can track your food in. So there's loads and loads of different things that you can use. If you like to be old school and write it down, fucking be old school and write it down. There's loads of different ways that you can track your daily habits, your weekly habits, your daily movement, weekly movement, your train. You do have time to improve. You do have time to get in a bit better shape than you currently are. You just need to utilize the time a wee bit better. Sorry, wee bit of a rant there.
And the Mr. Rants. That obviously wasn't last week's, and I don't think you were here the week before. But I missed those rants.
Yeah. If you're, yeah, just to summarize what I was saying, I see if you're looking to get started on your journey, start small, right? Don't think you need to go from 0 to 100 because that is what most people do. They get fucking scared. They scare themselves away from the gym. They end up sore from doing far too much. They end up absolutely exhausted from going into an extreme deficit and massively increasing their output. So they end up knackered, tired, ill. Some of them get ill because their body's just thinking, what the fuck is going on here? And then they just end up giving up. So start small, you know. add another 15 minutes in of walking per day, 10 to 15 minutes, maybe even 20 if you've got the time, and exercise once per week if you're starting from zero. One time per week, 20 to 30 minutes. And then I promise you, once you start seeing the benefits, like Kyle was saying, once you start seeing the benefits of what you're doing exercise wise, once the weight starts to come down slightly, you will then start to find the time to do a wee bit more. You will start to make time, you'll start to prioritize it because you're seeing the benefits of it. You become more productive, you'll have more energy, you want to move a bit like a bit more. You automatically want to eat better as well when you start to train and exercise and stuff like that. So start small and then I promise you it will just start to grow some arms and legs. Kind of like when me and Shannon talk to each other. We fucking grows arms and legs. We
Those
start
lefts
sm-
and rights.
we start small and then we expand.
Have you seen you've seen South Park before, yeah?
Yes.
You know when they have like the typical thing where it's like the guy who's like plays games in his basement and he's like a wee fat kid
Mm.
who's whatever. I sometimes think I'm like, there's a cost to doing everything, and like he's portrayed as someone who's really fat and he's sitting in his whatever parents' basement and on the computer all day and whatever, right?
Looks dirty all the time.
Yeah, no, it has all that, but sometimes I'm like, what's the difference between somebody just because you're paid to do it for work for 8 hours a day and sit in front of a computer screen? What's the difference between you and that person? You're sitting because things are tough, and there's probably more resentment towards what you're doing because you don't feel like it's your choice to do it. You're sitting trying to find little moments for yourself, and that might be having a donut, or it might be having whatever they're providing you. But like, if I actually boil it down, and I'm not trying to, well, let's be fair. If you're listening to this podcast in the first place, there's an element of you that wants to improve. So fucking well done. Strap in. We're here. I think when it comes to you, let me just get my train of thought back in there. Hold on.
I
Yeah,
was like, is he just preparing himself in case he gets himself cancelled somehow?
Well, I was.
everybody's
I think my mind started going a very dark route, and I'm like, that's probably a bit too much there. We've already had a few wee trigger warnings going on,
nah
but
nah. Go for it. Everybody thought their fucking phone paused there. Everybody went, "Oh, what? My phone
For
paused."
once, it was my internet that wasn't bad. Like, that's what I was thinking. I was like, oh my God, it's not me glitching out.
I think if you're right, you're sat in an environment where you're getting no movement, and you've given up your rights to your own food because you're sitting getting fed whatever they're feeding you as well, and your energy's super low. You're not getting to see any sunlight. Like if you've done an experiment of someone, of course you're going to feel like if you're doing that as a scientific study over a 5 or 10 year period, are people going to get fatter? Are they going to get more depressed? Are they going to have no energy? Are they going to have no drive? Because again, you're surrounded by people who are all in the same, like, I don't want to say low vibrations, but like you are sitting with people who are all doing similar things. So it's normalized that you're sitting without seeing sunlight, without moving and eating shite all the time. And you're also probably capped in terms of like there's no progression for you in where you're going. So you then start to think there's no progression for you in life, and you're trading in what you're doing for essentially a paycheck. And I'm not there to that's not me in terms of throwing shade, but what I'm trying to say is there is other ways of still getting progress within that. You don't need to be a victim of your circumstances, because that's who we coach and how we help coach people is actually through the fact that like there are these things, the cost to doing what you're doing at the moment, and whilst you might not feel it on a daily basis, is the fact that yes, like weight is one thing, but that's probably actually the least important thing. That's a visible outcome of what was happening, but you're at so much more risk of diabetes, so much more risk of heart disease, so much more risk of like just genuinely getting ill. Like there's so many things there, from life factors. Your confidence is going. Like, when's the last time, if you've been in that environment, that you're like, what gets to me is when people say I don't have time, but I'm like, how much time do you actually spend thinking about how you hate looking at yourself and how you can't find clothes that fit you in a shop, or that how much stress is it when you have a night out and you don't know what to wear because you're embarrassed about a lot of things and you hate looking at yourself in pictures. You tell me you don't have time, but at the same time, how much time are you spending in your head looking at all the things, and what's the cost to that? So, like, I know that got quite deep, but at the same time, tell me that you don't have 10 to 20 minutes. And I'll give an example of this. I'm doing a bit of outreach at the moment. And I spoke to a guy, and he was like, "I really want to change. I want to lose. Like, I need to lose 15. It was I need to lose 15 kilos, whatever." And I was like, "Right, what's the biggest obstacle in the way?" And he didn't get back to me. So I was like, I followed up with him. I was like, "Just following up on this, mate. What's happening?" Didn't get back to me again. And to be fair, I'm not a massive fan of continue to agitate people, but I was like, you know what? They started this conversation. We don't just leave it here. So I sent my question mark in, and he's like, "Sorry, I just really don't have time." And I questioned him on it because he then started getting back to me rapidly about things, but he still wasn't giving me the answer. I'm like, "Well, you said you don't have time to get back to me, but you've now spent 20 minutes arguing with me." I was like, "Is this a short term thing or a long term thing?" And he's like, "It's just work's really busy at the moment." And I was like, "But you said you've dealt with this you've been dealing with the weight that you've had on you for the last 10 years. So is it a what's busy at the moment, or is it just the fact that like you're now tolerating it? It's no longer a problem anymore if you're tolerating it. It's you're 10 years in, and if we don't have a conversation about what we're starting to do with our time, like things ain't going to slow down. This happens with or without you, but at the same time, you're going to be you're victim of the circumstances." Yeah, to be fair, I think he's well. Let's just say he's booked in for a call, so we're having a chat soon about it. But I do think we can often get stuck in our ways, and whilst it would be great to be 17 years old with no responsibilities and all the time in the world, none of us are at that position anymore. And if you are, then look, fair play to you. Keep going to the gym 7 times a week and eating 3,000 calories, and yeah, keep doing what you're doing. But for the rest of us, it's about finding structures that you can pivot off of. But just another example, sorry, of things that you can do. And we all are big advocates of tracking everything. But I understand again, sometimes tracking feels so removed from where you are right now. It's almost like, especially if you're not working with a coach as well, it's difficult. Like you tracking your food, it's like you can be tracking what you think is 1,800 calories and it's actually 3,000 calories. And then if the data's not actually relevant, then like what's the point in tracking? Like genuinely I have the belief of like what's the point in doing it really, because you're not going to be able to adjust accordingly. You just think things are broken and not working for you. I think one of the things to do is where you are at the moment, if you've constantly seen that you're putting on, it's a slow increase, but let's say 1 to 2 kilos a year every year for the last 10 years. The way to stop that is looking at like some food choices in terms of like if you're going out for a work lunch, you don't need to go for the burger and chips just because the burger and chips are on the menu. You can opt for something that's, even if it's not, instead of going for a burger and chips, go for the chicken burger and chips. Like you can start off by doing that. That's probably reduced 150 calories straight from the bat. Instead of going for like the chips, you can go for baby boils on the side. Like, don't know if burger and baby boils would go, but like you can go. Yeah, the point is you can go for something that's a bit easier on them. You can go for the fish option and baby boil, something like that. Like it doesn't, every event out doesn't need to be like a fuck it, I'll start again tomorrow. Like that's the way I would look at it.
100%. I've actually got a client who this week is eating out 3 times. So it's like 3 nights out. I think two of them is going to involve alcohol. And what I've said here is one night have your alcohol. She has drinks gin anyway. Shout out if she's listening. She'll know who I'm talking about. So drinks gin. Like one night have your alcohol. The next night you don't have to do the same as what you did the the first night. You don't have to go nuts for the alcohol. If you really are wanting to have a drink, have have a gin and then have a water or a diet drink, a Coke Zero or whatever, and then have a gin and then have a water. Split it up. Um, and she's like that. What are you trying to do to me? I've already given up. She used to like a pint at the weekend for the football. Season ticket holder of a certain team that I'm not going to mention on the podcast. So used to have a pint at the weekend for the football. Changed that, came off the pints, went to spirits, which is in itself is a huge change. You know what I mean? That's going to save a fuck ton of calories. So now that I'm saying to her, have a drink and then a soft drink or a water. She's like, "What the fuck are you trying to do to me?" So even just like small wee changes like that can genuinely go a long, long, long way in the grand scheme of things. Yeah, every night out, every day out, every dinner, every meal, every social event doesn't have to be a fuck it button moment. Um, because it's what happens after it as well that makes a big difference. If you get in the mindset of, well, I've already fucked it on Wednesday because I had a meal out, I'll just start again on Monday. Then that weekend's going to be a write off. You're going to get in your own head. You're potentially going to take a step or two backwards and then feel like you're having to start again on the Monday. And it just starts that whole rigmarole of um, 2, 3, 4 days on it and then the rest of the week off it. And then it's just that horrible vicious cycle. And then you're 6 months into the year and you're thinking, why have I not seen as much progress as what I thought I was going to see? And that's because you've not dedicated the time, you've not made the right sacrifices, or you've not made the right changes that you need to make to continue pushing yourself forward, essentially.
Just
What?
brought, just brought back a memory when you were talking.
Oh, yes.
A kind of core memory. Just when you were talking about when you're 6 months in or 9 months in, I remember during lockdown, I actually seen somebody's post. It was a fitness person's post, and they were like, "You kept telling people you don't have time, but now you have all the time in the world. Yet you're still choosing to do nothing." And like, whilst that's a very triggering post, and I understand there's like not exactly a lot of people were in the best headspace at the time, but I'm also kind of going, it's a very fucking valid point. I'm like, during lockdown, I remember living with Jen's parents, and I think I've mentioned this before, but like they were telling us they didn't have time. And I'm like, they're pensioners during fucking lockdown. They've literally got nothing to be doing. And here and they've not got time. But people get so fixated on their own routines. But again, it also does come down to the belief, confidence, and desire of what it actually is that you're doing. And sometimes when something feels so far out of reach, like any of us, like I genuinely have a belief that any of us could be millionaires, and it does involve us. And you hear all the things. It's all you need to. You hear any millionaires like you just need to do this, you just need to do that. But like fucking none of us do it because all of us are like I just feel so far out of reach in terms of like the millions that we're not doing anything at all. Like you hear about that, like reading 10 pages a day and like doing whatever. I'm like, I like the idea of that, but you know what? I've never actually like sat and read 10 pages. There'll be months ago and I listened to an audiobook every month, and then I think all through last year I didn't listen to a fucking thing. So it's like I think for a lot of people it is actually, it's no sexy way of saying this, but you actually need to do the thing first before you see the result of it, and that's actually what gathers motivation. Because it's action first, and that's where you need to force things, and that's where it's important to go, do you know what? Set an expectation. This stage is going to suck. Like, this is a point where everything's new. You are waking up probably a wee bit earlier. You are not used to maybe having your breakfast at the same time. You are maybe, don't know, giving yourself one less episode of whatever you're watching on Netflix in the evening, and that's the part where you need to ride out. Because see, do you know what? Day one, nothing happens. Day two, nothing happens. Day three, nothing happens. But see, after week three, you're starting to feel better and more energetic. You're not even thinking about that second episode of Netflix. You're no longer hungry at that time in the morning. You can start to see your weight's dropping down a wee bit, and people are starting to go, do you know what? You've got a wee bit of glow about you. You're doing something. That's the point where you're like, do you know what? Actually, now I'm feeling good because I'm starting to see a bit of momentum behind me. You can see that, do you know what you're doing is giving you belief and confidence, and that's where it becomes it's less, ironically, the people that do that start to find that they get more time. So one of the things I actually love to see is like when you speak to somebody in a call and they're like, oh, I don't know, I do whatever 4,000 steps a day. I just don't think I've got time to be doing anything more or whatever. And then we structure things out, and like 3 or 4 weeks in, they're going, my target's only 9,000 steps, but I'm doing 13 and 14. I was like, I never thought I had time to do that. I was like, oh, mad that when you actually start to track things and see momentum and motivation. Because with all, and I'm sure even like if you've listened to this, I'm sure there's something that you started doing and you started to find yourself getting better at, and you started to see a positive response for that, but you started doing it more as a result of that, and you found time to do it more. And that's it. It's just about finding, not about finding, you are going to have to, like, again, as I said, you have to do something that's, how do you say it? Probably not the most enjoyable to start off with, but like realistically, if most of us had the choice of not working, most of us wouldn't work. But the thing is, when you start working and then you get an understanding of it and then realize you're not getting paid to the end of the month, it's a case where you're going, well, actually, do you know what? I'm going to stick at this, because see, if you quit before the end of the month, probably not getting paid. So it's keeping at it.
Aye. I think a lot of us, I mean, I've been guilty of this myself as well. Experience kind of paralysis by analysis. Everybody wants to have everything structured and set out before they actually take action. Um, it's like the saying, all the gear and the idea. They want to have everything in place, all their workout structured, all the new gym gear delivered before they actually take that first step of pushing themselves forward. And that's a very backwards way to do it. It allows you time to get in your own head and convince yourself that what you're doing is not the right thing, or you're not doing enough, or you're not good enough to do, or to make those changes that you're wanting to make. So take action first. It is going to have to be forced. We spoke about habits a lot in this podcast, and it's very much like building new habits. You have to force it for the first. It might be a few days, it might be a few weeks, but you have to force it. Then, as Kyle said, once you start seeing the progress, once other people start noticing the progress, that's when the motivation really takes a big spike. That's when you start to build that momentum up. That's when things become a lot easier. That's when you do start to find the time, or wee pockets throughout the day. You start to find time to go for that 10 minute, that 15 minute, that 20 minute walk that you never, ever, ever had time for before. Um, even just, yeah, 10 minutes at lunchtime is a great shout. What do you normally do at lunchtime? Doesn't matter if you get 30 minutes or an hour. You typically get your food, you sit down at a table and you scroll whilst you eat your food. Fucking eat and then go for a 10-minute walk. It helps the digestion. It's going to feel a lot better on you. It's going to feel a lot better on your body. Eat your food, get up, go for a 10-minute walk. Doesn't have to be a massive outside walk. Just walk up and down the fucking corridor. Go to the toilet 3 times. There you go. You've got an extra 10 minutes of walking. Do you know what I mean? Um, but yeah, I think that I think what we're kind of really getting at here is you do have time. 100% you do have time to get in shape. 100% you do have time to make the changes that you want to make. But without, I don't want to say analyzing because that sounds all fucking scientific, but without actually understanding where your time is going, you're going to be fighting an uphill. uh, What the fuck am I trying to say here? Two different quotes in one go. It's going to be an uphill struggle for you to try and create that time because you don't have an understanding of where the fuck it's coming from. Does that make sense, what I was trying to say?
Yeah. I had a conversation with someone before actually, and I was saying like I'd love if someone was keen for it. Like when people say they don't have time, like I feel like doing. Ironically, Charlie Kirk done this with the "prove me wrong" thing. Hopefully, don't shoot me for it, but it's I'd love to have a conversation when people say they don't have time. Going right, okay. First step is show me your diary. Show me what you're doing. I guarantee you I'll find pockets there that we could improve on. Like, and to be fair, I've still yet to meet anybody, like, because I've coached thousands of people at this point. I've yet to meet anybody who, when we actually sit down and boil it down, it's not a time issue, it's just an overwhelm issue. You don't know how to put things in place for yourself, and that's okay. Like, sure, we all work with people above us, whether it be through mentorships and coaches and stuff that help us do those things. But I think there's times in my life you spoke to me and I don't have time, but actually it was just a case like I remember the point where Monday and Tuesday I'm like, if anybody adds anything to my plate right now, like Jen asked me to do something, Jen tried to speak to me on a Monday or Tuesday, I was like, can't speak to me. Like I
Yeah.
genuinely you can't. I'm not even joking. The level of at a point I was doing I think 35 check-ins on a Monday, and I'm like I actually done the maths on it, and I'm like it takes me, for instance, every check-in takes me probably there's per hour 3 check-ins. I'm doing 35. I'm like there's 10 hours minimum just on 30 of them, another 5 on top of that. I'm like I can't message MD, I can't speak to MD, I don't have time for a lunch break. If MD told me right now, like you don't you have time to go and do something, I'd be like, fuck off, mate. Show me, I can prove whatever. But actually, do you know what? I spoke to Kira and I was like, I've not got time to speak to MD Monday and Tuesday. And she's like, well, why are you doing all that Monday and Tuesday? I was like, right, okay, speak to me. She's like, you can screw that out throughout the week. The reason that I took so busy on Monday and Tuesday is because I wanted Wednesday off, and she's like, well, why are you taking Wednesday off? And I was like, because I'm burnt out from Monday Tuesday. She's like, Why don't you just spread that out so that you're also not needing Wednesday on the couch sitting crying for yourself? And actually, you know what? It's something so simple, and I know that probably does sound simple, but that's every single person's diary ever.
Mhm.
Like the excuses that you're saying, I guarantee you, somebody else looks at it and goes, "You tell me you don't have time, but what's this big gap here?"
Yeah.
Oh, do you know what? I actually like just scrolling my phone there. That's fine, but there is time, and also there's another big gap there. Is that more scrolling your phone? Yeah. Okay. Cool. And what's happening here? Yeah, it's like you look at it and go, do you know what? You'd actually probably find there's a couple of hours worth in your day that you've got time. There's, I think, if you're listening to this and you're triggered by it, then fucking good. Being honest, good that you're triggered. But I'll tell you what, we can have a debate if you want. But before we have a debate, you go get your timesheet, see what you're doing, bring it over. We'll have a look. Because if you're not willing to do that, I'd also
Yeah.
say there's a reason that you're not willing to do that, and you're trying to protect something. And I
Yeah.
think what you're trying to protect is also what's going to cost you everything else. So just be aware of that.
Mic
Yes.
drop.
Fucking mic drop indeed.
Yes, thank you. Good night.
I love how both of yous got triggered by Molly May's 24 hours there and yous went on tangents and I just sat back and I was like, yeah, leave them at it.
I was actually
I know.
starting to worry that you'd lost your voice, Shannon.
I was actually going to say Shannon's input's been my favourite part of the podcast this week.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not getting a fucking voice in here and that's okay. I'm grand with just sitting back today,
Just sitting back, taking it in,
taking it
enjoying
in.
enjoying
Yeah,
the rants.
I think
resting me wee body. Like, it's a tough
I
life for me.
controversially, I think that Shannon's actually rattled by the fact that we've called Molly May out for what she is, and that's it.
Or the fact that yous are calling me out for not having enough time. I'm like, oh fuck. They're on about me.
No, that was pretty. Yeah, we went a wee bit deep there. I think we might have triggered a few people who claim they don't have time. As Kyle said, fucking good if you're triggered because it's obviously awoken something inside you. Awoken,
Even
woken.
I'm triggered.
Shannon's triggered.
Well, you've got time to sit and listen to us talk shite on a podcast. You've got fucking time to go and sort your shit out. So get going.
You better be out getting steps in as you're listening to this fucking podcast. Otherwise, we're coming for you.
It's
There's
funny because the podcast used to be how I would get my steps on a Monday morning, but now that I feature on it, I'm like, I don't want to listen to myself walking. Like, this is, you've actually kind of ruined it for me now.
well, me and Gary will just record an ep. We'll go back to recording episodes ourselves without you, and then you can start
Oh
listening to
no,
them.
you can't have no friendship without me now. That's not allowed. It's catch 22 with me.
Well, to be fair, Shannon, you could listen back to this episode because you've barely said a word, and it's practical.
Yeah,
You not have to listen to yourself.
you wouldn't let me say a word, and that's okay. You were very passionate about everything, and I couldn't disagree with any of it. That's the problem. So I was like, I'm just gonna have to sit and nod here the whole way through. You will see if you're watching it. I'm just sitting there nodding the whole time.
I
Mhm.
know. I seen you. You look like Churchill the Northern Dog. I, just in just to be fair here, Shannon, is there a point that you remember where you didn't have time, but you were wrong about it?
Uh, oh, thanks for letting me talk, guys. That's lovely. Um, Probably like my early 20s. I used to think I never had time for me, technically. But what I was probably doing was like making sure I didn't have time because I was working a full-time job in full-time college, training 5 times a week, going out, and yet every evening I'd be like, oh, I've no time to do anything for me at all. But really, I was just trying to avoid being alone with me. I was just burning myself out completely. So now we're on the opposite where I actually schedule in Shannon time from 8 o'clock onwards. Don't try and talk to me unless I want to talk to you back. I'm colouring my books and I'm watching TV. And I'd say that's the first time in my life I've ever done that. I didn't even have a TV in my room. Adam used to always find this wild with me. Growing up, never had it. I just had no heed in that because I was like, no, that's a distraction and I have to do X, Y, and Z and I have to keep myself really busy all the time.
Mhm.
And now I have a TV in my room and I'm like, oh, this is how people relax. Like people actually do this for a reason, Shannon.
It's funny, we don't have a TV in our room as well. We only have a TV in the living room. I'm in the room right now
Yeah.
recording this. And it's just for that simple reason. Like the room is where we come to switch off and unwind and not be distracted by colourful things on the TV. Um, will we get a TV in here in the future? Maybe, but right now, I'm happy with
Yeah.
not having a TV in the room.
I'd say I've only gotten one in the last 6 months, and it's purely because I also house share as well. So like there's constantly people coming and going. And I used to just keep myself so busy that I'd come home, say 9:30 at night, and I just jump into the bed and that's it, bed.
Hmm.
But now I'm like, no, actually, I'm taking time to relax a bit more, and I actually need to do something to relax. So
Yeah,
that's where I'm at now.
fair enough. Kyle, you were going to dive in with something there.
Yeah.
I was actually about to say, I don't even know if I should say it, but we didn't have a TV in the bedroom. We do now, but it's only been switched on like 3 times in 3 years. But I'll not name the person in case they get into trouble, but there's a certain person that I know who works for a certain company, and they have TVs sometimes that get he or
They
she.
they they
uh,
fall off the back of a van.
no. They are in quality control for this business. So sometimes, if let's say a 60-inch TV doesn't quite pass the quality control thing, but that could be as simple as like one of the buttons on the back of it doesn't work, so it's not up to the company standards. It technically gets binned off. So, like, I have a bit of a TV. I got given a TV. It arrived at my door because it possibly didn't pass quality control. Class, well, the only place to put that is the bedroom. But yeah, I was going to say that's the only reason I have one there, but it's been turned on about 3 times.
And
And
that's because the power button doesn't fucking work in it.
probably is, mate. Yeah. I still don't actually know. I did get given one point a few, like talking 5 years ago, that literally the bottom right hand side looked like they had some sort of water effect underneath it.
Mm.
Which was a pain in the ass when you were watching football, because every time it went for a corner, the guy got all skewed. You couldn't see if the ball was in or out or whatever. But yeah, no, outside that, all right.
So yeah, TVs in bedrooms, are they a good or a bad thing? That sounds like another fucking episode.
I feel like just to end this, that Shannon should have a poll up and say which version of people are more assholes, English or Americans.
Yes, yes, get it
I'll
up.
do it, but like if I get cancelled, I get cancelled. But sure, look, all the Irish TikTokers are getting cancelled at the moment. Like the Irish influencer scene's all fucked.
Get it up.
I've got such a tangent I want to go on about Irish influencers, but no, I'm going to leave it there because I will go on and on and on. So
Next week's episode,
You
I want
probably know
you.
nothing about the Irish TikToker influencer scene, Gary, because
Nah,
like,
I
nah,
don't have a clue. That's why I would like Kyle to explain it to me on next week's episode.
yeah.
next week's
Run
episode.
do your history and background checks and everything there, Kyle, for us.
Next
I
week's
am taking note so I don't forget about this.
next week's episode, we are going to talk in depth about emotional eating. I'm throwing it out right there.
In depth, emotional eating.
And Irish TikTokers, because Kyle's very passionate about them now.
In terms of ratios, Ireland must have the biggest ratio of TikTokers. Like they must have, like as in want to be
Because
influencers,
everyone is a TikToker influencer or something.
fitness
That's
people, and barbers. That's the only three categories of Irish people: is barbers, influencers, or what was the other one? Can't remember.
Fitness
Fitness
people.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear more about this. But yeah, we should wrap this one up there, folks, because that's been just over an hour, which is class. Kyle, where can I find you?
Kyle _ biofitness. Shannon, where can they find you?
Shan_biofitness. 2 N's in the Shan. Get ready for the poll.
Fucking ask me, Shannon. Jesus Christ, play the
She
game.
really has lost her voice. She's literally deflecting the entire episode, going, "Oh, you just went the rant." I was like, I have never in my life spent as long when Gary was finished something, silence still out Shannon to come in. She goes, "Yep." I'm like, "Cool." Don't say you didn't get given the opportunity. If you're talking about watching it fucking back, watch it back. The amount of times Gary finds
I don't have time to talk right now, Gary. Where can they find you?
Gary's
Gary.
like, "Does that make sense?" I'm like, "Mm-hmm."
Mhm. Gary _biofitness. Thank you everybody for listening. Thank you, Dave and Toby, for the music, and we'll see you all next week. Shannon, do you have time to say bye?
Bye.